Hello friends, welcome to Kickstart Instrumentation. In this video, I am going to start Siemens PLC programming tutorial for beginners. The first video will be hardware configuration. To do a hardware configuration, we need the bill of material, which will include all the part numbers that we are going to use for the hardware configuration. What you are seeing on the screen is all the part numbers that I have chosen for this tutorial. The first one is rack, on which we will be installing the PLC. For the PLC, power supply and CPU is must. So the second one is the part number of power supply. Third one is part number of CPU. Fourth one, the part number of interface module. This interface module will be communicating all the I/O modules to the PLC. Fifth one is digital input module. Sixth one is digital output module. Seventh one is analog input module. Eighth one is communication processor module. This communication processor will communicate all the Modbus devices to the PLC. Ninth one is scalance switch, which is used for the Ethernet connections. 10th one is SFP, which is used for fiber optics connection. Now let us go into the hardware configuration. Let us open the simatic manager. In the file, let us open a new project. This will be asking a name for this project. I am choosing the name as learning. If you want to choose the storage location, you can do so, but I am going with the prompt one. If you right click on the learning, it will ask for insert new object. I am going to insert simatic H station, which means a redundant PLC. If you click on the simatic H station, it will show you the hardware. Double click on that hardware, it will open the hardware configuration page. This is the working area on which I am going to do the hardware configuration. The first one is rack. I am copying the part number of the rack. I paste it in the find section and enter. This will take me where the particular part number is available. See, it has taken me to simatic 400 under rack 400 CR3. You see below the part number is coming. If I change CR2, the part number is changing. So the part number that I have chosen is CR3. Drop to the working area. Since we need redundant, I will also take one more. This is rack 0 and this is rack 1. Now I have to insert the power supply. Let me copy the part number of power supply and paste it here. I drag and drop to rack 0 slot 1 as well as rack 1 slot 1. I need the CPU. I copy the part number of CPU and I search for it in the hardware configuration. I drag and drop in rack 0 slot 2. It will ask for the IP address. I am going with the prompt one. Do the same for the redundant. Here I change the IP address to 2 and I click OK. So now successfully I inserted the CPU to both the racks. Now I have to create a DP master system, which is for the communication of I/O modules. and I have to create the Ethernet communication as well, which will be done in PNIO. So I right click on the DP, add a master system, create a new subnet. It is already named as Profibus 1. I am going with that, and I created a DP master system for rack 0. The same I am going to do in rack 1. So rack 1 also I have done. Next one is for the Ethernet. Let us do it in the rack 1 as well. Select Ethernet and give OK. So now I have created all the master system. Now I am going to insert the interface module, which will connect the PLC and the IO modules. It will be under ET200M. To BA10, yeah, it is here, 0xB0. I drag and drop to the Profibus system. See, now I am not able to connect. When I touch the DP master system, it shows me to connect. When I connect in Profibus 1, it automatically connects to Profibus 2 to create the redundant. If you click on this redundancy, it will show Profibus 2 and Profibus 1 both are checked in. So I take one more also and I connect to that. So in one interface module, you can connect up to 12 number of IO modules, but practically everyone will be adding only 10 number of IO modules. 2 will be left as a spare for the future. So here now there are 2 interface modules. That means 2 racks I can add to the PLC. In the first interface module, I can add up to 12 number of IO module. In rack 2, I can add up to 12 number of IO modules. Now let me add the IO modules. So the digital input, I copy the part number, I search it in the hardware configuration. See, when this module is selected, you see it is green here. That means this is belong to this family of PLC. If not, it will not be green. So I drag and drop one digital input module. The same thing I do it in the rack 2 also. Let me choose the digital output, copy it, I paste it here to search, I drop it in the first interface module. Let me also copy the analog input module. Drop it in the interface module. So now I have chosen one digital input, one digital output and one analog input in rack 1. In rack 2, I have just taken only one digital input. And as I told you, I need one communication processor to communicate the Modbus devices to the PLC. The part number of the communication processor, I copy it, I search it in the hardware configuration. I drag and drop in interface module 1, that is rack 1. Now I have inserted all the hardware modules to rack 1 as well as in rack 2. I am not going to insert a number of modules, I just insert only one digital input. Now I have to add the Ethernet switch. So let me copy the scalene switch port number. The latest version is version 4.1. I'm going to drop it to the Ethernet Profinet IO system, which will automatically connect to the rack 1. Since we need redundant scalene switch, I am taking one more and connecting it to the Ethernet. Now here, if I want to connect the fiber optics cable, I need the SFPs. So we already have chosen the SFP port number belong to this family of scalene switch. I search it here. For each switch there are 2 slots available for these SFPs. I drag and drop for switch 1. Same thing I am going to do for switch 2. So for this tutorial I have chosen all the hardware and I have inserted it in the hardware configuration page. Now I am going to save and compile. So this button is save and compile. When I click, I am getting some error. The system data could not be recreated because the configuration is inconsistent. Let us see what is that. You click the details. The first one, the H parameters have to be recalculated. Okay. Both Profinet IO controllers have the same name PNIO. Same name PNIO. That means it has to be a different. If in rack 0 if it is PNI0 and rack 1 it should be something else. It should be different. PNI0 1. So now I got the error. I am going to change it to rack 1 PNIO 1. I click OK. Again I save and compile. Yeah, it's compiling. So successfully we have finished the hardware configuration. In the next part I will be explaining you the basic stuff that you must know to proceed with the PLC programming. Thank you friends.